right, Pickle. It's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score some great deals on award-winning Hondas. Stop by your helpful Honda dealer today or visit ntxhondadealers.com to learn more.
If you've got questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, pointing at the camera, trying to square it up, get your comments out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch.
Comments.
Comments.
We
Get
want
your
all
comments
your
in.
comments.
Oh.
Oh. You got
okay.
a comment.
We've got a few different things. I started saying in fancy accents. Shout out to my beloved Sydney Swans.
Ah, yes, I saw that.
You see this?
Dubs.
The Sydney Swans
Dubs
they're in the
season.
playoffs right now, and they made it to what I believe it's called. They called the prelim final.
Mm-hmm.
The prelim final.
Dubs. We're taking
They
Dubs.
got a big win over defending state champs Melbourne last night.
Seems big. Melbourne's a big city.
Melbourne is they were defending premier champs, so they knocked them. They beat them, and now they're into what it's the semifinals.
Okay.
If they win this next game, they're in the grand final, which is the Super Bowl. So they're in the
Big
they're
Swan
in the,
energy.
They're in the NFC Championship game, is what they are. Go Swans. Go Bloods. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what happened last night, because I want to talk a lot about where you were. You and Ish went out to Wichita Falls, and you survived.
We did.
You survived a car ride with Ish.
Which is a lot harder than you would think.
Correct. Wichita Falls Hershey gets an overtime win over Brock.
Thrilling.
Is it fair to say you came away impressed with both teams?
Yes, so it's funny because I know you made the joke on Tep and Step. You were like, oh, winless Brock team, like joking around
yes.
because it's funny to talk about that. Well, now they're, for the first time in program history, they're 0-2. And they've got a tough road ahead, but both of those teams are very, very good teams. Brock has nothing to worry about. You got to think, last week they played Pleasant Grove. That's a classification bump up. They're punching up. They did it again with Hershey. They're going to do it again with Wimberley. This team is a different style Brock team than what I think you're typically used to seeing. It was previously a lot of ground and pound. They have weapons that can catch it on the outside. They kind of spread their offense out a little bit more. Their quarterback is very, very shifty. He's a small guy, but man, he finds the holes. And the thing about Brock, and it's always been this way, but the most deceiving thing about Brock is that their defensive line looks like a line of really like good-sized corners and linebackers. Mm-hmm. But they are so quick off the draw that they can absolutely put pressure on in the backfield, and that is something that they'll absolutely be able to use to their advantage, because we talked about it before then of Hershey having a lot of size up front. How were they just kind of going to get beaten down? And no, Hershey, they have the guy in their running back. Let me look this up again, because there were two unbelievable recruits. Amarion Peterson's
incredible.
Yeah, the USC commit. He had 3 different touchdowns last night. He had the touchdown in overtime to put them up in the 37-30. He is outstanding. And then there was Jamarion Carroll, who was the wide receiver who was committed to SMU, who is outstanding. So, both of them, unbelievable players. But both of those teams looked exceptional last night.
Yeah, and we were talking about this to peel back the curtain entirely. We were talking about this before we came on the air about how there's a chance. So Brock plays another state-ranked 4A Division II team next week when they play Wimberley. And then they play Gunner, the number 1 team in 3A Division II. Now Gunner hasn't played a snap. We don't know what we're getting, but at the same time, we're pretty good. We're pretty sure they're going to be pretty good. Right? So there is a realistic chance that Brock is 0-4.
And they would be the best 0-4 team in the state, and I feel comfortable saying that.
Right, and the other thing is that, for Brock, one of the challenges for us doing rankings is what do you do with them? Because you can't, I hate to say it, you can't have an 0-4 team ranked.
No, absolutely not.
That's not realistic. It doesn't pass the smell test.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a challenge we have to come up with, is what to do with a team like Brock. And there's a couple of teams like that. There's a couple of teams that have super hard schedules that they're punching up consistently that could get an ugly record that we don't want to bury too much. So it's interesting. Other thing, go ahead.
I was going to say real fast, the other thing to keep in mind, we were talking to a lot of the Brock fans that we had known, and especially shout out, we saw our photographer Tommy Hayes out there last night, and everyone's consensus was, after watching that game, they were like, PG is insanely good this year. They're, obviously consistent, but they were like, we didn't realize, obviously Hershey was a fantastic team, but they're like, we didn't realize the level that PG is playing at already when they played them in week 1. So there's There's something to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Because Brock fans recognize good football.
They do. Yeah, I think both. I think they've played two really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I think is fine. Okay. Elsewhere last night, I want to make sure I mentioned. So Mart beat Marlin 41-6. It's really hard to parse this. Marlin's now 0-2, and they've been without Darian Gillette.
Losses.
They now have a loss to Crockett, who I just think they should be better than him.
Yes.
Now Crockett I think is better than they've been in past years, but I do think they should be better than him. And then they have an ugly 35-point loss to a team that is smaller than them. Now it's Mart, and Mart is the number 3 team and 2 team, I think, in 2A Division 2. So Mart's pretty good, obviously.
Right.
But there are some alarm bells going off for me on Marlin. I'm concerned. I just assumed they had, obviously Darian Gillette was the biggest player that they had. He moved away or whatever. He got
but
hurt,
they had he moved away too. Where did he end up? He's not at Marlin anymore. But they had other weapons, and to see the glaring, I guess, amount that they've lost by is the scariest part.
Yes, that's the thing, is the margins are a little ugly. Dangerfield beat Tatum last night. Tatum's another good 0-2 team, and could be 0-6. I was kind of counting out on Twitter about how they went to quadruple overtime with a 4A team in week 1. They lose to state-ranked Dangerfield. They get 4A Pittsburgh, state-ranked West Rusk, 4A Lumberton, and then they open district with Gladewater. They could be like the best 0-6 team in America.
Oh, my God.
But Dangerfield's very good. Congratulations to Alvin, Iowa Colony. They got their first ever win last night with a win over Houston Kip Sunnyside.
We also got a question answered, which we'll get the second half of that question answered tonight, is that Crosby.
Yes.
Crosby,
big bounce back. Big bounce back win over Fort Bend Marshall. That's a great win and a good retrenching win for them.
Man, all that did for me was C King. We're going to get every question that we have answered tonight against Allen, because that to me just says C King is a murder machine.
I was already intrigued by the C King.
We're locked in.
But it would have been even more. If Crosby had gone out there and gotten drilled by Fort Bend Marshall, it's maybe Crosby's year. They're just down this year. So, but yes,
that's
very
big.
interesting. That.
Austin Anderson. Taking down Rouse.
Beat Lander Rouse. Apparently Mason Shore was out in the second half of this game. But congratulations to Austin Anderson. 2-0. And Lander Rouse 0-2.
That's the Fighting LPs, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anderson, yeah.
Shout out Trojans. San Antonio Taft got a win over a 5A Division 2 team in San Antonio Veterans Memorial. Taft is 2-0. Keep an eye on them. I'm very interested in them in 29-6A. Fulshear beat Fort Bend Clements 77-18. Fulshear has scored 151 points in 2 games.
Okay, Cadetti.
151 points in 2 games.
Goodness gracious.
Spring Westfield beat Fort Bend Hightower 51-22.
They knocked the socks off of them.
I tweeted this, do not be fooled by that. Westfield's up 30-0 at halftime. They're 51-7 in the third quarter. They have been a killing machine the first 2 weeks. Westfield's very impressive.
West Orange Sharks and LCM lived up to the hype.
38-32. West Orange Shark gets the win. Score late with an offensive big man touchdown. They gave
the O-lineman
to an offensive lineman, and he scored. And then they hold on for the win, 38-32. Great win for West Orange Shark. Hiawatha Hickman, 2-0. But yeah, great win there in the Orange Bowl. Matt Stepp was there. And yeah, that's about it from across the state, I believe, unless I missed something. Congratulations to A&M Commerce. A&M Commerce got their first Division I win as a Division I program. They beat Lincoln last night. So, big win for them. Congratulations to them. Let's get some questions, Pickle. We can go until about 12:40. Do we have any questions about sports or anything?
Sports. That's what we do here, sports. What team or teams are on the hot seat if they lose tonight? The examples given were El Campo, Refugio, Shiner.
So we'll take those 3.
Out of those 3, El Campo would be the one that I would be more concerned about than the other 2.
So El Campo plays Miller tonight, Corpus Christi Miller.
Yeah.
Now it's a 5A. It's a 5A D1. So I don't know, and it's a good 5A D1. It's a regional contender 5A D1. So I don't know if I necessarily would throw dirt on them if they were to lose. I'll tell you. So Shiner to me has the most winnable game. They're playing Vanderbilt Industrial, but that's a 3A, and that's always and Vanderbilt always plays them very tough. Industrial plays them very tough.
Hard hitting, man. They just wear you down.
Here's the team that I would throw up some red flags on if they're 0-2 of those three, and it would be Refugio. So Refugio looked bad against Hitchcock last week. They look bad.
I still think that that's my darling this year, but yes.
They're playing Corpus Christi London tonight.
London was good last year.
It's a good team. They're 1-0. They're there's a 3A team. I need to see some offensive improvement from Refugio because everything I've heard is that the offense is an issue. And if they're not going to iron that thing out. Now, look, they've got time. They don't play. They do not play until they got 2 more non-district games after this, including next week at Edna, which is and then they don't play Shiner until after their bye week in week 9.
And they should finish 1-2 in the
They'll finish 1-2 in district because, all due respect, I mean, Three Rivers is a good team. Ganedo's a good team, but I think they're going to finish.
Three Rivers beat someone important last week. I can't remember.
Three
who that
Rivers
was.
Beat Falls City.
Oh yeah.
Falls City's down bad.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to look at how the game plays out. But if Refugio's 0-2, I'm gonna be digging in, and I'm gonna be a little concerned about them. What's next, Pickle?
Let's go with. For some reason I asked history. I guess it was. Tepper said that Katy is 83-2 at home since 2004. Who are the only 2 losses to?
Great question. Boy, howdy. I would need to look that up. I believe Tompkins
have they
was
lost
one of them.
In the state championship? Is this
no,
regular
at home.
season?
At home.
At home.
83-2.
Ah.
I need to go look that up. But so I don't know that offhand. But
you should tweet that out later.
I will. When I find it, I'll tweet it out.
There you go.
Because we're gonna have a reporter at that game there. I believe our friend Shelby Coppage is gonna be there.
Yeah, it's a 6:00 kick tonight. Which, by the way, 6:00 kick on Texan Live. It's the only 6:00 kick tonight, so you have no reason not to tune in.
That's easy.
Yeah,
that's easy.
TexanLive.com.
Yeah. So I need to look that up. And figure out exactly which one that is. And the weird thing is, remember, because they play so many Katy teams, that it's possible that they have lost more games at Legacy Stadium.
Yeah.
Because it's they're the road team against Katy Taylor. I'm making that up, right? But I do know that it's a home team. They're 83-2 in their last 85 games.
I've called a game at Legacy.
I would need to look that up. What's next, Mademoiselle Pickle?
Let's go. Let's stay in the Houston area here. How about your thoughts on Northbrook and Aldine? The chance to end 2 insanely long losing streaks. And a dub is a dub.
I don't know who asked this, but I have a feeling it's a certain sicko.
Uh-huh. It is. A sicko in which we love.
So Northbrook and Aldine play, and I think it's a Saturday game. I want to say it's a Saturday game. I can look that up real quick. That game is...
We might have it on Texan Live.
It's Saturday. Okay. So, if you're interested in why they're asking this, Aldine presently has the state's that's tied for the 4th longest losing streak in the state. Aldine's lost 25 straight. They've lost 25 straight. Okay. Northbrook has lost 42 straight. They have the longest losing streak in the state right now. Remember, we lost a ton of them last week, last year. Boys Ranch won a few different games, and then we had a bunch of 20-game losing streaks in the last week, including San Angelo TLC, Howe, things like that. So this game's going to be ugly.
But someone breaks the streak.
And someone will win. I believe it's going to be Northbrook. I've been on the Northbrook bandwagon. I made it my hipster pick last week. Their game, because I thought they had a great shot of beating Baytown Sterling. They in fact did not. They lost 27-0. Oh. But I'm gonna ride or die with Northbrook. Okay, I'm gonna ride or die with Northbrook.
I think
they get the win. In a game that is going to be because let's see, Aldine lost last week 49-0 to Alvin. I think this game's going to be something like 14-10.
Who would take over? Who's second longest losing streak? Who would take over at that point?
If Northbrook were to win, it would be Houston Wisdom, who's lost 33 straight.
Okay.
They lost 33 straight. And then
man, so they're ahead in the losing streak by quite a bit.
but we don't. The thing is, we don't we don't have right now. We don't have a super ugly one. To me, when it gets to, Northbrook's pretty ugly. At 40,
Boys Ranch
42.
was at like 70 something.
Boys Ranch was at 49.
40. Oh,
they were
okay.
49. The one that was really bad a few years ago was we saw El Paso Socorro.
Yes.
El Paso Socorro was ugly. Houston Scarborough was really ugly.
Maybe that's what we need. We just need you at the Northbrook game, and then they'll win.
And then Fort Worth Diamond Hill Jarvis was really ugly as well. Fort Worth Diamond Hill Jarvis lost 77 in a row, and when they won, we made a big deal about it on the show. So, I'm intrigued. These are the games that I like. I like because that's a feather in the cap of these programs, and they get an opportunity to celebrate when they haven't been able to do it in like 4 years.
Oh yeah.
So,
I'm
going with the Raiders. I think Northbrook breaks the streak.
Let's
Saturday.
go.
There you go. What's next?
How about?
I'll be happy for Aldine if they win too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But, your take on China Spring and Melissa. This one is tasty.
Yeah, it's one that is kind of flying under the radar. I think because both of them had big games last week,
yes.
and it's like, oh, you guys are doing it again.
Why not? Why don't we keep this thing going?
So China Spring obviously looked exceptional last week.
Yes.
With Cash McCollum back at the helm and stuff like that. Melissa took it on the chin against Argyle, and
which we warned you, a vengeful Todd Rogers is dangerous.
Right. That's not necessarily a surprise to me. For me, one of the things that I need to see from Melissa is they started off super hot. They scored 18 points in the first quarter, and then they petered out.
Yep.
And they just couldn't. They threw 4 interceptions. They were sloppy with the ball. They've got to take care of the football. Trevor Ham is the new quarterback. He's got to take care of the football against China Spring. That will pounce on him. The computer likes Melissa, but I like China Spring.
Yeah, I do too.
I like China Spring.
Is it because of the classification difference?
I think that's part of it.
Because it's what?
The computer also just still likes Melissa. The computer is not going. The computer doesn't like to go crazy over one result, and so they've still got Melissa 9th in 5A Division 2. So, interested in this one. I think China Spring gets the win, but another good measuring stick. And Melissa would be another team that would be a good 0-2 team if they were to lose this game. So, and I still think they're the second place team in that district behind Lovejoy. So, yeah. All right, what's next, Pickle?
Thoughts on the Gobblers, who, if you'll remember, they just beat El Campo pretty bad, 43.
The Gobblers? I'm unfamiliar.
Never heard of them? I think it's Cuero.
I'm aware. Yes.
They're playing Geronimo Navarro.
Obviously, we talked with Jared Feacock on Monday. Impressive. They're playing Navarro. I think I've got some red flags about Navarro.
I think the computer has them by 34.
They got drilled by Navasota last week. I've got some concerns, but the slot T is the devil, so you never know. But Cuero looks the part. Now I don't know. That's the funny thing about week 2. Cuero looked like they were right here.
Yep.
Like, this is the positive side. And Navarro looked like they were right here. I don't think Cuero is this good. I don't think Navarro is this bad.
So how close are we?
Yep. Right? That's, for me, is the issue. So we'll find out a lot more. But if Cuero goes out there and they drill Navarro again, then it's like, all right, I see you. I'm high on the Gobblers. I was very impressed with Mason Notaro, their quarterback. They've obviously got Tyson Williams. They've got playmakers. They are, and their defense really showed up against an El Campo team that obviously has weapons. So intrigued by this. There's also, like, I don't know, when you play the slot T, it's like a lot of it is just it's a referendum on how well you defend the slot T. It's not a referendum on how good you are. You know what I mean? Defensively. So it wouldn't be a surprise if they gave up 21 points to Navarro or something like that. But just because the slot T is the devil. But interested in this. And then they've got Yoakum next week, and then they got Cal Allen, and then they've got Beeville Jones before they get into district play. So we'll know a lot about them, but I think that I have 1 foot on the Cuero bandwagon. I have 1 foot. If they go out there and they take care of business against Navarro, give me the conductor's hat. So what's next, Pickle? I need a conductor's hat for, like, when I hop on the train. It's like choo choo. Be fun.
No. Expectations for Bernie Champion versus Eagle Pass. Let's head down south.
Do I have this right? Was Champion the team that... No. Who was the other team that did not have a great week 1? It was not Bernie Champion. They went and they beat Laredo United South, but it was a bit of an ugly affair.
Man, you want to talk about a team that graduated a ton, though?
Yeah, Bernie Champion got hammered by graduation. Now, Eagle Pass beat Wynn last week. Eagle Pass is a lot better than Wynn. They are the dominant force in Eagle Pass right now. But this is a really interesting matchup here because, for Bernie, that's a long trip to Eagle Pass.
Yes, it is.
It's a long trip. And Champion, their offense was a little bit fits and starts last week. Can they kind of get, because they're working so many new pieces, can they find their way offensively? I think I like Eagle Pass in this one. Remember, this is a 6A over a 5A, but yeah, I think I like Eagle Pass in this one, but I don't necessarily throw dirt on Bernie Champion. I think we'll find out a lot more about them. It's funny because, I don't know, they're playing 2 6As and a 4A in non-district.
Right, so it's like, well.
It's like we don't really have a team in their weight class before they get into district play, in which I think they're going to play I think they're going to play the 4 toughest teams in their district right out of the chute.
Yep.
Their schedule, they play Canyon, New Braunfels Canyon, then they play Buda Hayes, then they play Seguin, then they play Wagner, then they play Smithson Valley. So they play the 5 toughest teams
right off the bat.
Right out of the gate on their district schedule.
Which that's just hard back to back to back to back.
Yes.
That just wears on you more than anything.
Well, and you'll also just have because those last 2 games, in my opinion, I think they're going to be pretty big favorites over Kyle Lehman and San Antonio MacArthur, right? So they should be able to do that. And so you got to do all the work up front, and then don't screw the pooch on the back end.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Don't screw the pooch on in those 2 games against the teams you should beat. So we'll find out a lot about Champion tonight. I would, if they go to Eagle Pass and get a win over a 6A team, over a decent 6A team, that would really impress me.
Yeah.
But I think that Eagle Pass,
especially on the road for that long.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
But I think Eagle Pass got to be your favorite. What's next?
I believe this was Ish's upset watch, but Midland Legacy and Amarillo Tascosa.
Yes.
That's tasty out there.
So this is on the upset watch. We've got on TexasFootball.com. We've got our 3 games that we think are going to that have an opportunity to be upsets according to the computer. So Legacy is a 10-point favorite in this game. This is a long trip for Legacy. This is at a neutral site. They're playing at West Texas A&M, but that's 20 minutes for Amarillo or for Tascosa, and it's 4 hours or whatever for Legacy.
Very neutral.
Right, neutral. Tascosa beat Palo Duro last week, but Avion Carter left that game. The offense really started opening up. They're actually throwing the ball a fair bit.
Yeah.
In that game, which is not like them. Legacy looked terrific in week 1 over Amarillo. And I think that they're your deserving favorites. One of the questions I wonder is, can the Tascosa defense keep up with this high-powered Legacy offense? That's the question. Can they make consistent stops, especially if Avion Carter doesn't play? That's my big question. Now, Ish is a believer. He put in the upset watch. Or at least it's upset watch. Keep an eye on it. But I do like Legacy in that game, going on the road and getting a win. What's next, Pickle?
They said Cinco Ranch and Tompkins, but Tompkins is playing Bridgeland. Which, regardless, let's talk about that game because that's a really good game. We have that one on Texan Live as well.
I was going to say, I thought Cinco Ranch played last night.
Yeah.
Okay, Tompkins and Bridgeland.
Yeah, Bridgeland looked great last.
Yeah,
week.
they did. Yeah, the first game without
Connor
Wigman.
Yeah, Hudson Pollard looked really good.
Looked pretty good. Now the offense was not nearly as explosive. Part of that is Cy Fair kind of puts you in a phone booth.
Yeah. They're known to do that.
Yeah, but they got the plays they needed to win that game. The defense looked good. Going up against a Tompkins team that I think is going to be able to test them more defensively this week. The Tompkins team that Cy Fair, we kind of know what they're about. They're going to line it up and they're going to run it, and then they're going to run play action. For Tompkins, they're a little bit more multiple. They're going to do a few more things. I like Tompkins in this one. They looked good against Cy Ranch. I thought that was a really impressive win they were able to put together last week. I like Tompkins in this one. I think they're going to I just don't know if this Bridgeland offense is going to be able to keep up. Right. Is my question. Now, how much of that is what Cy Fair putting in the phone booth, like I said. We'll find out. But I do like Tompkins in this one, but it should be fun. And then, by the way, Tompkins, who they play next week? Katy.
Yum.
So that's a district title game next week.
Yeah.
In week 3. What's next?
Cool.
Peyto will have something to say about it, and
Yeah.
and maybe a team like Katy Taylor or like Cinco Ranch will have something to say about it. But I think next week Katy and Tompkins is the district championship game.
Cinco Ranches look pretty impressive.
Cinco Ranch,
even I mean,
well, they lost last night.
Oh, did they last night?
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that game last night.
They lost.
They look
to
good in week 1. I mean,
Klein Oak.
that's a bad loss.
40-35. They should have won that game.
Yeah.
So, anyway, offense is looking good though.
Take it back. Highly underrated game. I think we've mentioned both of these teams, but I love the matchup of Edna and Bay City.
Yeah,
that is tasty.
We talked about it on Tep and Step, our premium high school football podcast. So Bay City is the fastest rising team in our computer rankings.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped Sweeney into an active volcano last week.
68-0.
Just hammered them. Edna is a team that we've got. I think they're a real sleeper in 3A Division 1. And they looked excellent against East Bernard last week. Now East Bernard, we've heard maybe it might be a tough year for the Brahmas. Coach Wade Bossy, but they clobbered them. Defense looked fantastic. This is a game where it's a full classification difference. It's 2 divisions, okay? Edna's a 3A Division 1 team. Bay City's a 4A Division 1 team. Bay City's got an enrollment of like 977. They've got an enrollment like triple of Edna's. If Edna can hang, I don't even need them to win. Mm-hmm. If Edna can hang, then like
Edna
let's
is looking like a regional
start
favorite
paying
at
attention to Edna. Because that's be a really impressive result for them. And then, by the way, they get Refugio and Sinton in the next 2 weeks. So we'll find out a lot about them over the next couple of weeks. But so far, so good for Jimmy Mitchell's Cowboys.
Well, in that region,
I think you have to go with Bay City. They're just so much bigger than them.
Yeah.
But if Edna, like I said, if Edna makes this a 1-score game,
that's region 4
huge.
in 3 Division 1 is wide open.
I totally
in
agree.
my mind. Like I don't think that there's Lano Yelljacks. I don't think that there's like a favorite. But Edna, in my mind, if they can hang with them, that solidifies them as they should be at least the favorite, if not the second.
And that's the thing. So you mentioned region 4, and you jokingly referred to Lano.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody takes them seriously. But I'm kidding.
Listen.
We'll find out. Who's Lano got this week? Do you know?
Burn it.
Darn it.
Yeah, which is 1, major punch-up, and 2, heated rivalry.
Do you have any more thoughts?
No, not that I can publicly air.
So Edna plays Bay City. Lano plays Burnett, a team much bigger than them in a rivalry game. I think Lano's better than Burnett pound for pound, but they're going to be punching up so much.
I will be obnoxious if Lano beats Burnett.
And then the other team in that conversation is Industrial, who plays Shiner this week.
And they got rid of Lago, so that's one out. That's
the defending regional champs gone.
Yep.
I think we'll have a better feel for Region 4 of 3A Division 1 after this week.
Yep.
Because then all 3 of these teams are getting different kinds of tests, and we'll have a decent data set on all 3 of them. They're all 3 1-0, I believe, to start the year. And so we'll have a much better feel for 3A Division 1 Region 4 after tonight.
And it's funny because someone actually did ask earlier, can Lago Vista survive in 4A? Which, like we said, they were in the same district as Lano, moved up last year.
I think they can survive. I'm not now. Week 1 didn't go great, but they played Yo, but they did give up 71 points to Cameron Yo.
Yeah, and that
to 3A.
They graduated a heavy class.
They get Academy this week.
That's bad news bears.
Same district. That district of doom there in Central Texas.
The Bumblebees.
Go win this game, Lago. Go win this game against Academy. Because then they still got LaGrange and Smithville on the schedule, and they get into district, and they still got Wimberley. And
I was gonna say that.
Who knows what Navarro is like?
Yeah, that region they got taken out of a very winnable region and put into a hellscape of a region.
They did. Yeah, Region 4, 4 Division 2 is pretty brutal. All right, let's do 2 more.
Let's go with. This is a big one that we've skipped over: Mount Vernon and Gladewater.
I'm not interested. I'm kidding. Okay. So Gladewater.
Do we have Gladewater ranked?
Not anymore.
No.
Okay. Or no, that we don't. I think they were right on the outside of the top 10. I believe,
I was just gonna say,
and then they lost to Dangerfield by a point.
Yeah.
And so they kind of they're still in the range. And if they were to beat Mount Vernon, they'd certainly get consideration. Do you know what their non-district schedule is? Johnny Louvier is a mad lad, okay? Open with Dangerfield, Mount Vernon tonight. Then they play Longview Spring Hill. Now, Longview Spring Hill, they're better than, but that's a 4A, right? 4A team. Then at Malakoff, and then home to Gunner.
Good God.
That might be the toughest non-district schedule in America. That's so tough. And then they get Tatum right out of the gates in district play. Okay, so all that's to say, Mount Vernon's your favorite. Mount Vernon looked excellent, looked classic Mount Vernon last week against Quinlan Ford, 48-28.
The offense was operating.
They're a lot better than Quinlan Ford. It is a 4A team, but they're a lot better than them. They beat them by 20. They hung 48 on them. The offense, they got that quarterback back, Mount Vernon. I need to know his name. You're gonna have to bear with me while I look up the Mount Vernon quarterback's name. It is Braden Bennett. Braden Bennett. He's really good. And then Mackenzie McGill, the running back. The offense looked great. Defense, we'll figure it out. Was that a 1 week fluke? I also don't know how the game played out. It might have been 48-0, and then they gave up.
I also think this is a team that consistently relies on their offense.
But Gladewater, for sure. Gladewater is going to be a different team, and that they're going to try to out-muscle you. This is also a much superior defense that they're going to face this week than they faced last week. That is what interests me about this one. What does Mount Vernon look like when they face legit defensive pushback, which they'll get from Gladewater? Can Gladewater get that offense going? That's another question. Dangerfield's got a good defense, but can they get that offense going? I like Mount Vernon, especially at home. I think they get the win. I like Mount Vernon. And finally, do we have an ender?
Yeah, let's talk about a team that, again, I think we'll get a lot of questions answered tonight. Jim Ned taking on Holiday. Jim Ned
might be one of those 0-2 teams.
Yeah, I mean,
my gut reaction, and this is, I'll be honest, I haven't done a ton of studying up on this game. My initial reaction is that Holiday's got to be the favorite in that one.
Yeah, by 3 according to the computer.
Again, you don't want to overreact to one result.
But getting stomped by Holly, a 2A team, is now Holly. I think Holly's really bona fide contender. But
I think Holly's really good. They lose by 23.
You can't be considered a bona fide contender in 3A and then lose to a 2A team.
They got to bounce back, and I think they've got an opportunity to. Holiday looked good against Iowa Park last week, but they are, in my opinion, better than Iowa Park. Here's a better measuring stick for them. These are two teams that are going in different directions. They can certainly change their trajectory right now and figure things out. But I also think that this is a Jim Ned team that is maybe trying to find their identity.
Yeah.
Because remember, Xavier Wishart was such a huge part of their team in 2020 and 2021. He's gone. What do they look like now? Can they find the offensive firepower? So, yeah, I will be paying close attention to this game.
Holiday, well, it doesn't get any easier because then they have Wall the next week after that. They've got Rockdale coming up, Eastland coming up. I mean, it's not a light schedule. No. So it's kind of like you need to figure this out now.
Now, right now, I'd still say Jim Ned's the favorite in that district.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would like to see them get the wheels on sooner as opposed to later. Because last week was ugly. Last week was not pretty.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.